So today I want to talk about like what is like the major difference between electric vehicles and diesel vehicles, and why do we need more number of EV cars in future. So like there are like multiple things which I like to discuss about this topic. So there is like one thing, that why do we need more EV cars in future in comparatively with the fuel consumption vehicle. So why do we need it? Because we all know like the fuel consumption vehicle or the diesel vehicles that we know, that we generally see, like 90% of the vehicles that run on the roads are mostly, they are like diesel vehicles. They emit carbon. So like if you will know what is the disadvantage of carbon emission, is that is always going to increase the global warming, that is always going to basically affect global warming. Because if you have, you always see these kind of reports that in the last decades we have like an average 1 degree increase in the temperature. In the last 2 decades we have 2 degree, because I have seen a report where it says that in the last 2 decades we have on an average, like on the earth we have 2 degree centigrade more temperature than that it usually used to be like 2 decades back. So that is a very concerning thing. So that's why we need. And carbon emission, basically we will know vehicles around the, like around the earth we have like vehicles which is like number one carbon emission producer. So there is like a thing which we have to say, that if we have to lower down the carbon emission, we have to figure out things, and to basically replace diesel vehicles by EVs in the next 15 to 20 years is always going to be the big step. So why do we need, we all know, I have told you that why do we need more number of EV cars in future. Now there is the thing, that what is basically the difference between EV and diesel cars, which basically give an edge to the EV cars in some points and give edge to the diesel cars in some points. So the basic difference is that EV cars run by the battery, electrical energy, and if you will see on the diesel cars, mechanical energy they run by, and they're a fuel consumption engine that they run by the 4-stroke engine. And I've already made a video at what is a 4-stroke engine. So that is a basic difference. But now coming to the point, what is the one thing which basically if we are a driver or if we are using our vehicle every day, we want fuel efficient vehicle, we want a vehicle which will give us a range, we want a vehicle which will give a more kind of acceleration or torque. So we want everything in one vehicle. But there is like advantages and disadvantages of both the things. So if we'll talk about EV, so EV has like less number of moving particles, around 600 to 800 moving particles, but in diesel vehicle it has around 2000 to 2500 moving particles. That's why the maintenance cost of EVs are generally very low, like in comparison with the diesel cars. Like diesel vehicles have a, like in comparatively it has a high maintenance cost because it has high number of moving parts. So if it has a high number of moving parts, there might be a possibility that if any part is like dismantled or it's getting you have to replace it. So that is why the maintenance cost of the diesel vehicles are generally higher than the EVs. And now the sound, because diesel vehicles have a 4-stroke engine, it generates sound. But if you will see in EVs, if you are actually using any kind of Ola scooty also, or if you are using it, you will see that there is no voice, there is no sound. Why? Because it doesn't have any engine, it's just battery, it's just absolutely battery, and it's going to be run by the tire. But in the diesel vehicle it has a 4-stroke engine that is connected to a crankshaft, that crankshaft is connected to a tire, and that helps to basically rotate the tire. So the sound efficient, if we will talk about, that is always EV are always going to have an edge. Because I personally don't like those vehicles who generates like noise. I like cars and bikes which have a very lower voice. So that's why EVs does not actually generate any kind of voice. But if you will talk about the range and acceleration and torque, so you will realize that electric vehicles will give you an instant pickup. So if you will see, if you will actually know about electric vehicles, if you are having any kind of experience, you will see that electric vehicle will give you an instant pickup. So as soon as you will actually accelerate it, it will have an instant pickup. But the disadvantage with EV is that it won't give you any kind of range, it won't give you that range, because if you compare it with the diesel vehicles have a range of like even the most advanced EVs, which are basically Tesla, they are going to give you a range of 200 to 250 miles. That is, if you convert it in kilometers, it will somewhere between 400 or 450 kilometers. But that is like the most advanced EVs. Like those Teslas are like the most advanced EV. But in case of diesel vehicle, if we are seeing right now, if we are living in India, we don't have Tesla here, so we cannot expect the EVs to give us a range of somewhere around 400 500 kilometers. That's not going to happen. So that is the one disadvantage of having EV, that it won't give you a maximum amount of range. But in case of diesel vehicle, it will give you a maximum amount of range. EV also have a edge about diesel vehicle when we talk that it has a regenerative brake system. So if I have to break down this term, what is regenerative brake system, it's basically that if your EV is like now just imagine that you're having an electric vehicle and you're getting stuck in the traffic. So now what will happen, that in a traffic you are not getting any full lane, or you are going to apply brakes at each and at different interval of times you're going to apply a brake. So now in diesel vehicle, what is the disadvantage in diesel vehicle, that every time, because your engine is always start, you cannot turn off the engine. Like if you're getting stuck in a traffic, you're not going to shut down your engine, you have to start it. So that will actually increase the fuel consumption. But in case of EV, what that right now, that the advancement in the technology is so much that in the EVs that we are using right now, it has a regenerative brake system. What it actually is, that every time you apply a brake, it stores the kinetic energy, and then it converts it into the electrical to basically charge the battery. So what is happening, that in EV, that if you are sitting, you will apply brake in traffic basically, or if you are going to any kind of hill station or something like that, where you are basically have to apply a brake. So in EVs, it will give you an edge because it will charge the battery. But in diesel vehicle, what will happen, that your fuel consumption will going to increase, because you cannot turn off your engine every time you're applying a brake. So that is the reason why EV has an edge about diesel vehicle. Now, summary of this video, by making this video, I just wanted to tell that why do we need more number of EVs in future, and the most advanced technology. Because in after like 20-30 years, what we are expecting, if we want to like lower down the amount of pollution that we are doing and producing the carbon emission, which always going to affect us in some way, it is always going to affect us, whether it is acid rain, whether it is global warming, whether it is the forest fire that always occurs in different parts of America and South Africa. What is the cause for that forest fire? That is global warming. So if we want to reduce that, we have to run more towards electric vehicles, because that is the only way to basically lower down the carbon emission, which is being done by the automobiles. So that is my way, like to basically tell you that why do we need more number of EVs in future. So that is, thank you so much for watching this. I hope I'll give you any kind of value through this content, and if you like this, you can put your reviews into the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.